Today we are going to discuss mass energy equivalency and a nuclear binding energy. Along with these two topics, we will also discuss in brief nuclear force. So let us start with first topic, mass energy equivalency. So Einstein proved in his special theory of relativity that mass should essentially be equivalent to energy. As per equation, energy is equal to mc square. So, what is special theory of relativity? We know we have some fundamental laws of nature, Newton's law, laws of motions, then Coulomb's law of electricity, Maxwell's laws of electromagnetism. We have laws of conservation of energy, conservation of momentum. All these laws, we assume that these are fundamental laws and applicable everywhere in whole universe. So if you try to find this law of conservation of energy somewhere else on some other planet, then you will fail in this law of conservation of energy until you are considering this term as energy. Because in terms of energy, in equation of energy, this term comes. And so, for getting initial energy is equal to final energy, you must make this term equivalent to energy. So, this is a special theory of relativity in brief, and this is why energy should be equivalent to mc square. Unless you do this, energy cannot be conserved everywhere in your universe. Laws of motion, laws of fundamental laws, electricity laws, all these will be not applicable equally everywhere in universe. So for that sake, we need to take this term mc square equivalent to energy. So let us do one question on it. Here you have question 1. So convert five gram of mass into equivalent energy. So we will use this energy is equal to mc square. Here mass is in grams. So firstly we will convert this mass into SI system, 5 into 10 to the power minus 3. This is your in kg. And now c square. C is 3 into 10 to the power 8 whole square. C square means whole square of it, and this becomes 45 into 10 to the power 16 minus 3 joule, and so this is equal to 45 into 10 to the power 13 joule. So you obtain equivalent energy of the mass 5 gram. Now this energy can also be expressed in terms of electron volt. So this will be equal to 45 into 10 to the power 13 divided by, when you divide this quantity by 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19, then it will be in electron volt. And on simplification, you will find the value which is equal to 28.12 into 10 to the power 32 electron volt. So here mass is converted into energy, and this can be proved by nuclear reaction of nucleons. Can be proved by nuclear reaction among nucleons and electron. Means when proton is doing nuclear reaction, when proton neutron is doing nuclear reaction, or with electron also, proton nuclear reaction, proton neutron nuclear reaction, or electron neutron or proton, anything. So by these nuclear reactions you could prove that energy will be conserved here before nuclear reaction and after nuclear reaction. If mass is considered as equivalent energy. So you have some parent nuclei and you conduct nuclear reaction. After nuclear reaction you get daughter nuclei and some energy. Here law will be violated because energy has come from somewhere. Before the energy was not there. So law will be violated. Law of conservation of energy will be violated if mass is not considered as equivalent energy. Next, nuclear binding energy. So using mass spectroscope, when you measure the mass of a nucleus, then you find that the mass of a nucleus is less than the mass of its constituent nucleons, protons and neutrons. You have a certain number of protons and neutrons. Now when they combine with each other to form a nucleus, their mass is reduced in a nucleus, and this reduced mass, this difference of initial mass and the final mass after forming a nucleus is called mass defect. You know, in a nucleus you have certain number of nucleons, number of protons and neutrons, that is called mass number A. So what is mass defect per nucleon? Mass defect per nucleon is called packing fraction. So you have a mass defect, a decrease in mass per nucleus. It is equal to del M, mass defect, by atomic mass. So you find that when the neutrons and protons are separate, then they were having large mass. Now when they combine to form a nucleus, their mass is reduced. And this reduced mass is called mass defect. So where this mass has gone? So this mass may be considered as energy, considered as binding energy. When the nucleons bind with each other, there is some energy exhausted, and that energy is called binding energy. The energy consumed in binding the nucleons to form a nucleus. Is called binding energy. So when these nucleons will be separated, then for that we need to give such amount of energy unless they will not be separated. For separating the nucleons from a nucleus, we need to provide energy equal to binding energy. Though this is not true for all the cases, this is not actually true, but this is a very convenient way to say that how strongly the nucleons are bounded. But giving this energy, all the nucleons are not going to separate. One more very important term related to this topic is binding energy per nucleon. So binding energy, this term was for whole nucleus, and this term is equal to energy needed to bind whole nucleus. But what is the energy needed to bind one nucleon, like one proton or one neutron? This is very important. And by experiment, binding energy per nucleon was found for different elements of our periodic table, and a graph between binding energy per nucleon in mega electron volt versus the mass number was obtained. You can see the nature of graph. This is the nature of graph. And looking at the graph, you can note out some points. So look here. For the atomic mass range near about 30 from here up to atomic mass number near about, this is 170. Between this range, this is the binding energy per nucleon nearly equal to 8, you can see. So binding energy per nucleon in this range is almost constant. So you can make a note of this. Binding energy per nucleon in the range from mass number greater than 30, 30 is less than A, and mass number less than 170 is almost constant. and that is near about 8 MeV, 8 mega electron volt. Now second thing you can easily note down looking at the graph, that the binding energy is smaller for all the mass numbers less than 30, and it is also smaller for all the mass numbers greater than 170 than 8 MeV, 8 mega electron volt. So this is the second note you can make here, that binding energy per nucleon for mass number less than 30 and mass number greater than 170 is smaller than 8 mega electron volt. Some more thing you can note down from this graph. Look here. In this graph you can see that binding energy per nucleon is greater for this oxygen 16. Just look out here. And binding energy per nucleon for oxygen 14 is smaller. So what is binding energy? While combining all the nucleons, some energy is released, some mass is there is mass defect. And now when you have to take the nucleus apart, you need to supply that amount of energy to that nucleus. You have greater binding energy, so you naturally also find, if you could notice, that oxygen 16 is in abundance. It means it is more stable. Stability can be correlated. Here it seems that stability could be related with its binding energy. More binding energy it is found in abundance. Here you have binding energy per nucleon for iron is highest. Third note you can make, binding energy per nucleon for Fe 56 is equal to 8.75. It is highest. And you can find that iron is in abundance in our nature. So here it seems that if binding energy is more, then its nucleus needs more energy for its separation. So it is more stable, it seems. And so you can find iron in abundance in our atmosphere. Also you can see that tritium S3 is very unstable. It is not found naturally. It is obtained by experiment, and it has very small binding energy. So these things you can notice down. Now you can also note down that binding energy for uranium. For uranium, binding energy is near about, here take a line up to binding energy curve. It is near about, the middle point is middle point of 6 and 8 is 7, and it is more than 7. It is near about 7.6. So all these things we can note down from this graph. Now let us make conclusion. What are the conclusions? First conclusion is, this is a attractive force, nuclear force, because it is binding the nucleons very tightly. So nuclear force is attractive. With binding energy of order few mega electron volt. Now second conclusion we can make out looking at this graph. Here you can see that binding energy per nucleon for this range of atomic mass is almost constant. It is near to 8 MeV. So you have different mass numbers in this range of elements. You have element with small mass number. It will have small number of nucleons. It will have smaller diameter, smaller radius. And for heavy elements like uranium, it is having 238 mass number. Its diameter also should be large. Now all the nucleons are bound with each other. So if large nucleons, the binding energy should be large and nuclear attractive force should be large. But that is not the thing. You can see by this graph obtained by experiments that binding energy is same, nearly equal to 8 MeV. So it suggests that nuclear force is short range force. Nuclear force is short range force. It means that each nucleon is acted upon by its neighbor nucleon, not by all the nucleons. And this is why perhaps the binding energy is same for all the range of mass numbers. A nucleon is acted upon by its neighbor nucleons. And that is in the range, in the distance 2 to 3 femtometer. So nuclear force is effective within this distance, 2-3 femtometer. Outside this distance, now this nucleon is not acted upon by all these other nucleons. So why you can say that it is a short range force? And this is called constancy of nuclear force. This principle is called constancy principle of nuclear force. So within a range, nuclear force acts, and even if you have large nucleus or small nucleus, the nuclear force is constant and it is acted within only this distance of 2 to 3 femtometer. Outside this distance range, no nuclear force is affected for any nucleon. And this is why if you give some nucleon in any nucleus, you know, the density of nucleon is a constant. There is not any increase of neighbor nucleons. And you know that this nuclear force is proportional to number of neighbor nucleons. Nuclear binding energy per nucleon is proportional to number of neighbor nucleons. Very important. So binding energy per nucleon is proportional to some number of neighbor nucleons. And if you put a constant for this proportionality, Kn, so binding energy per nucleon is proportional to number of its neighbor nucleons. Now, next conclusion you can make out. Here, look at this diagram. Next conclusion. So binding energy per nucleon for uranium is, let me note down, binding energy per nucleon for uranium is nearly 8. Is okay. This is your 7.6. 7.6. And binding energy per nucleon for mass number, this has mass number your 240 nearly, and for mass number 120 is nearly, you can see, 8.5. Here you have, let me show you, 120. 150, 100, here 125. So near about this line here. You can find that binding energy is here 9, and in between 9 and 8 you have 8.5. Okay. Binding energy nearly is 8.5. So when a uranium is bombarded and it is broken into two elements of mass number 120, uranium has mass number 240. It is broken. The nucleus is broken with mass number 120. Then you find that binding energy is increased. Per nucleon binding energy is increased. It means it is bounded more strongly. When a uranium is broken into mass 2, into two elements of mass number equal to 120. Then binding energy per nucleon is reduced, you can see. So the element is bound, binding energy per nucleon is increased. So the nucleus is bound more strongly. Means the nucleus of mass number is equal to 120 is bound more strongly. Means it has released energy. And how much energy? While breaking a uranium into mass number 240 to two elements of mass number 120 plus 120, some energy is released. And what is this energy? So let us find. let us find that binding energy per nucleon, difference of binding energy. What is difference? Here 8.5 and 7.6. Binding energy difference. Difference in binding energy per nucleon is equal to 8.5 minus 7.6 mega electron volt, and this is your 0.9 mega electron volt. So what is energy released for whole uranium? Is equal to total mass number, total nucleon number is equal to 240 into 0.9 mega electron volt, and this is equal to 216 mega electron volt. And this breaking of a nucleus into its constituent daughter element, daughter nuclei, is called fusion. This breaking of a nucleus into its daughter nuclei is called fusion. So we will discuss fusion in detail, but here we have one more term, one more conclusion, that is called, okay, this is your fission, not fusion, this is your fission. Now one more term is there, one more conclusion you can make out looking at the diagram. Look here. So for mass number greater, smaller mass number here, for smaller mass number, if you combine two hydrogen which is of smaller mass number, you can get a helium with a large mass number and also large binding energy. Hydrogen has small binding energy, and when hydrogen combine to form a helium, it has large binding energy per nucleon. Means it is bounded very strongly, means some energy is released. So next conclusion is that when two light nuclei are combined to form large heavy nuclei, a heavy and one thing more, this breaking down is only applicable for heavy nucleus. Breaking is compatible for this is for heavy nucleus like uranium. Now for this part of graph, you can see for this part of graph, when for mass number smaller than 30, when you combine, now combination is more important because mass number 1 plus 1 hydrogen, it becomes helium. So here combination is more important. When you combine the two elements to form a third element with mass number greater and also is its binding energy greater, it is now bounded with more energy, more tightly. then more energy is released. So for second part of graph, for you can say for atomic number less than 30, when two light nuclei are combined to form a heavy nucleus, then binding energy of the daughter nucleus per nucleon is large, means it is bounded more strongly. Means while combination energy is released. And this combination is called fusion. This process is fusion. Now, next topic, nuclear force and stability of a nucleus. So, we saw that in a binding energy per nucleon graph versus mass number graph, we found that for the mass number range 30 up to 170, the binding energy per nucleon is almost same, nearly 8 mega electron volt. And the range up to which nuclear force act is 2 to 3 femtometer. We saw that even if we have big nucleus and so many nucleons, but each nucleon will be acted upon by its neighbor nucleons only. So this is a short range of distance up to which nuclear force acts, and that range of distance is equal to 2 to 3 femtometer. So this is one thing. Nuclear force acts within 2 to 3 femtometer. So now let us see what happens within this distance. We have a distance up to 2 to 3 femtometer, and what is potential energy system developed due to a pair of nucleons. You have two nucleons and they will develop a potential energy system as a function of their separation. So let us see how nucleus becomes stable. Because we know that nuclear force is very strong, and under the influence of that attractive strong force, all nucleons should collapse in the center and the nucleus should be damaged. Nucleus should be collapsed, but nucleus is stable. It is not collapsed. So the question is, how the nucleus is stable? If a very strong attractive force is there, which is getting all the nucleons towards its center, so a nucleus should collapse. But this is not happening. It is stable. So what is the cause of stability? Here we know we have two kind of forces. One is electric force, and it is due to electric potential energy of the system of two nucleons. Now we know potential energy K Q1 Q2 by R, and electric force K electric force for two protons KQ square by R square. This force is repulsive, between two protons. Protons are positively charged, so the force is repulsive force. Now this force will become very large if denominator, this distance, is made very small. If it is made negligible, if the distance is made nearly equal to 0.8 or even smaller femtometer. This distance is made very small, then the electric force become very large, and this force is of repulsive nature, you know. So this is one force. This distance you can see, this distance 0.8 femtometer is within 2 to 3 femtometer. Nuclear force is within 2 to 3 femtometer. And I am talking a distance within it. That is your 0.8 femtometer or even smaller. Within that range you have Coulomb's electric force. And there is another force acting. Coulomb repulsive force, and there is another force acting, that is nuclear attractive force. The two forces are opposite to each other. And you know by mechanics that if any object is acted upon by two opposite forces and equal forces at one place, then the object will become stable. And this is the cause of stability of a nucleus. At a point when the two forces become equal, you can see here, this distance is this separation is your 0.8 femtometer, this separation, 0.8 femtometer. And you know that in potential energy system, force is equal to minus du by dr. You can see it from here. Here, what is difference between potential energy and force? When you differentiate it once, when you write here R, then here R, then it will become force, electric force. Similarly, for potential energy, you should have force equal to minus du upon dr. Now look at the graph. So when the slope becomes 0, here you have a graph, and when this is slope means tan of this angle. Tan of angle is called slope. Slope is equal to perpendicular, this perpendicular by base. Perpendicular by base. Now the slope will become 0 when when this angle becomes 0, slope will become 0. So in this equation, this is your slope. Here you can see the slope has become 0. The line has become parallel to x-axis. So at this point, the slope has become 0. And the slope has become 0. So the rate is called slope. And this is equal to tan theta. And when this becomes equal to 0, then force also becomes equal to, your force becomes equal to 0. So at this point, you can find that slope becomes equal to 0. So here, the force, resultant force, due to your electric force and due to your nuclear force, the force has become 0. So this is stable situation. Now look here. What is this angle? This angle is greater than 90 degree. And when angle is greater than 90 degree, tan theta is negative. Tan theta is negative, and negative into negative, this becomes positive. And you know, the forces are repulsive when it is positive. So in this range, this slope is negative plus this negative quantity, the force becomes positive. So for this part, for distance smaller than 0.8 femtometer, the force is repulsive, and that repulsive force is Coulombian repulsive force. So for this part of graph, you have Coulombian repulsive force, Now for this part of graph, you can see here slope of the graph is less than 90 degree. Slope theta less than 90 degree. So tan theta will be positive, and a positive multiplied by a negative, it becomes negative. So forces are of attractive nature when it is negative. So for this part of the graph, force is negative and force is attractive. So this part of graph force is equal to negative, because minus of du by dr is negative, means attractive. So here and means nuclear force. So after this distance, after 0.8 femtometer, force is attractive, and before 0.8 femtometer, force is repulsive. So here stability is obtained by cancelling the two forces. Here at 0.8 femtometer, the two opposite forces are cancelled. So the nucleus is stable.